Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Back at you, Gloves Off. I'm Paul Buitrón. I'm here with a great friend and a great pillar of the community and of Texas, State Representative Richard Raymond.
Yes, sir.
How are we doing? You doing good?
Good, brother. Good to see you, man. Get ready for Thanksgiving, man. Get ready for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Eat that turkey. I started last week. I went to the police office. The police department had their annual Thanksgiving lunch, so I went. I always go to it. About 300 people there, and talked to everybody and all. And I said, "Y'all ready to eat turkey for a week?" It's Turkey Week, baby. It's not just one day. It's all. Then one of the guys goes 2 weeks, because then after Thanksgiving for another week.
You're right. You're right. And this Thanksgiving, I get my kids, and we're already planning dinner and so on and so forth,
Good.
and each one. And usually, what I try to do is teach them how to cook.
Yeah.
Maybe being a chef,
Yes,
trying to pass that on to them.
brother.
You have to do it this way. And some,
It's a fine art, brother. It's a fine art.
And some of them get it, some of them not. But it's fun. It's fun.
I don't get to do it much, but cooking. What I enjoy about cooking is that you're so focused on that, because it takes attention, as you know. It takes attention whether you're cooking or baking. You don't think of anything else. You're there with family. You're focused on that. You want it to go. You want to do it right, because it's for them, not for some strangers. And so that's part of what I like about it. When you do it, you're focused on that, and you don't think about anything. You don't even think about the Cowboys until the games gets going, And so, it's a good tradition.
It is. And we've always had it. When I lived in Dallas, we always used to do it for the school, part of the restaurants and stuff. Yeah. And we always used to, everybody, because there was a lot of kids over in college who were out. They couldn't make home. They couldn't go home.
Yeah.
Hey, come on over. We're gonna have a big Thanksgiving there at the school. Everybody kind of knew it for years, and
cool.
Here we kind of started it, but everybody was around, so it kind of just died out.
Yeah.
But we'll bring stuff like that back.
Yeah.
Everything will get back to normal.
Well, back to normal on the campaign trail. I'm up for re-election. We're late November now. The election is March the 1st, right around the corner. Early vote starts February the 14th through February the 25th. So Valentine's Day until the 25th. If you have a Valentine, take your Valentine and go vote. Tell them to vote for Richard Raymond, and then take them out to eat. Right? Go vote first. But I thank God, Paul, that I enjoy campaigning. I love my work. I love working on legislation. I love working with the community. Working with you, as you know, we worked on some stuff up in Austin together. And I enjoy doing it. It affects people's lives, and you hope that it can affect them in a positive way. But if you want to be in office to go work on those things, you got to campaign. And I've seen it that some people don't really like campaigning. I do, because you're out there meeting the people that you're asking them for the job. Hey, I want to work for you. I want to work for you. This is what I've done. This is what I think. What do you think? I want to get your ideas too. And so it's fun for me, and I enjoy it. If it ever stops being fun, I ain't gonna run again. But I thank God that I'm very interested in what I do, and I like the campaign part of it. That's to me the fun part of it.
Let me ask you a question, because you've done a lot, okay? And we'll get into a little bit more about that. But what sparked you into running the first time around? What did you say? You know what? I want to run. Why? What happened?
Well, I got interested, Paul, very young. I was really like 13 years old, growing up in Benavides in the next county, in Duval County. Of course, I came here all the time. My father was from here, my grandparents, all my family. So I'd come to Laredo all the time. I see the politics here. I see what's going on here. It was exciting to be in this big city. But I'm in Benavides, right? I grew up in Benavides. We had a lot of corruption, man, in politics, and I could understand at 13 and 14 that what was going on wasn't good. And so I really wanted to change that. So I started helping people that ran for the school board or the city council or whatever. And then I went out to the University of Texas, studied politics or government. They call it government, political science. And then after that, I went to work for United States Senator Lloyd Bentsen from Texas. And just I I just found it very, very interesting. I knew that you could affect a lot of people's lives in a positive way. And if you weren't careful, they could be affected in a negative way. So you have to engage. Things are going to happen. You're going to have elected representatives, state rep, state senator, U.S. rep, U.S. senators, and somebody's going to be in there, Paul. So through the years, I would help people get elected. I campaigned and helped a lot of folks get elected. And then at some point, you ask yourself, hey, should I be the man in the ring, like Teddy Roosevelt wrote about the man in the ring?
Sure.
The man in the ring, basically having the guts to jump in there, win, lose, or draw. And so I decided to run. I met with my state rep, a wonderful lady. She'd been a school teacher. And I met with her and I told her that I wanted to run. She knew me by now because she knew me when I worked for Senator Benson and all. And I said, I'd like to run. And we talked about it and all, and then she said, well, I'm going to run again. I said, well, if you're going to run again, I'm not going to because you're doing a good job. To me, it wasn't just about ambition. It wasn't about giving me a title. I didn't care about any of that stuff. The lady was in there. She was doing a good job, but I wanted her to know that I was interested. And so I said, well, I'm for you. But someday when you don't run, I said, I'm going to run. And I said, and if you'll do me a favor, tell me before you tell anybody else. Give me a week. She goes, I'll do it. So when she decided not to run, she called me. She said, I told you that I would give you a week. I'm telling you before I tell anybody else. And she waited a week. Well, it's 7 counties, so it's a big area, right? So, man, and it was right before, I remember Thanksgiving. It was this day, it was 2 days before Thanksgiving. She called me that night, right? That's the only day that I didn't spend Thanksgiving with my family, Paul, because she called me that night and she said, I told you I would tell you. I'm not going to say it till next week, but I'm not running. So I didn't know which counties it was going to be because it was a redistricting year. So there were like 10 counties that were being looked at. So I started calling all of these people in all these different counties that I knew. And so my parents and my sister and my brother, they were going to get together in Corpus Christi for Thanksgiving. And I said, I got to be on the phone. I got to go meet with so-and-so. So that was the only Thanksgiving that I didn't spend with my family because I was calling and calling and calling 10 counties. And then when they finally finished the district, it ended up being 6 counties. Later on, they added another one. But, coming from a little bitty town of 1,900 people, I was able to win because I hustled hard. But it was to me about getting in there and bottom line, just trying to use we were talking about this, you and I, a common sense approach. Common sense approach to governing, common sense approach to how does this going to affect people's lives, the families, their business, their schools, their roads, their health. How is it going to affect all these things? And that's what you study. That's what I study. I talk to folks. You and I talk all the time. You give me some good ideas through the years. Other people have given me good ideas. Some people have given me some ideas that aren't so good, but I respect that. And I tell them, let's talk about that. Let's take your idea, let's say it passes and became law. What does that look like? And we start talking about it and they go, yeah, maybe it's not a good idea. But you give them the respect to talk it through. And many other times, then you come up with really good ideas because you work with them, they tell you something that spurs your, by now my experience through the years, right? I go, hey, you know what? Maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. So it came down to just deciding that I want to be the man in the ring or just keep helping other people get into the ring. And I jumped in and no regrets. I've enjoyed it and I still enjoy it.
Well, number one, you've done a great job. And I know that, and I'm going to tell you, you've helped out the city that I love, which is Laredo.
Oh.
And you've helped out many. Last year we fought, no, in the last couple of years we've been fighting over something that's close to me and close to a lot of people, which is the parental alienation and the interference with child custody. It's something that affects children in Texas, whether they're Republican or Democrat, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And whether they're poor or rich, it affects them.
Absolutely.
And it's something that you stood up there and you fought for.
Yeah.
And just because of that and the other work that you've done that I've seen, because I've seen your work. I mean, whatever we can do, we're behind you 100%. And take that as an endorsement. We do have some stuff, some movement in social media, and whatever we can do, we'll help you. And that's just the way it is, because I see somebody that has literally helped change and move forward. You know, you might, not everybody's liked, right?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody doesn't like you, you don't like them, fine, well, so be it. But we have to live together,
Just
we're
life,
gonna have to be
yeah.
cordial.
Yeah.
But, and with that being said, is if somebody's doing right, like you told your predecessor,
Yeah.
and you said, you know, you give, I'm not gonna run against you, but I'm gonna, you know, if you can, give me the week's chance.
Yeah, when you don't run.
That's what has to happen. Now, I don't know if somebody else is running in this one, or if you have a candidate or not, but, you know, you have our full backing, because, number one, we've seen what you've done. And there's a lot of groups that are gonna be behind you in that, because they were there in Austin fighting with you, you know, I saw all those guys from
I've
San
seen the
Antonio.
passion, and that passion, when I see people like you, Paul, and so many good guys, George and others, Saldana, who took time, who take time, you're doing things that are gonna affect generations. You have your own kids and all, but you're doing stuff that's gonna affect generations to come, and kids that you've never met, that you don't know. You're gonna change their lives. We passed that, we worked hard, and we passed the bill out of the House of Representatives. Unfortunately, the Senate, it died over there, it was close, it died, but we don't give up. And as we were talking about, this time we start even earlier, we work on the Senate more, because we gotta work on the Senate more. But, you know, that is gonna help so many kids, if we can pass that, make it law. It's gonna help so many kids. And at the end of the day, so much of what we do, it really is about those future generations. I always say, elections are about tomorrow. Elections are about the future. They're not about the past, they're about the future. How do
Absolutely.
we make the future better? And when you brought the issue to me and really got me to focus and understand the impact, the parental alienation and so forth, man, it's tremendous, and it sucks. I don't know how else to say it. But we can change it, and we're gonna change it. We're not giving up. We've made a lot of progress. We put it on the front burner for a lot of legislators now, which is why we were able to pass it in the House of Representatives. And we just gotta keep pushing on it, and I think your work, which you've given me the privilege of working with you on, it's gonna affect thousands and thousands of young people's lives.
Oh, thank you, and the work that George and everybody else in the other groups have done as well.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people have not seen or have felt it, but they don't recognize the word, and the word is parental alienation.
Yeah.
And either you've seen your nephew or you yourself went through it or whatnot, and it's something that's very, very bad. It's when one parent literally takes a child away from the other, even though they have a court order that they can see them, they can visit them and everything else, and all of a sudden they say, no, you're not going to see them, or what have you, in different ways. And it's a huge spectrum.
Well, not only that, and that they're talking about and saying things that aren't true and trying to get the kid to get
Sure.
mad at them, and
Yeah,
it's not a good deal, man. It's not a
Absolutely.
good deal. It isn't.
It's something that affects many, and if we can change it, I think we can.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that needs to be changed. You know, the other thing that we've talked a lot, we have to protect our good badges out there as well. You know, we have to protect our good badges out there and see how we can.
Dude, I am very proud. House Bill 1900, we passed and became law. You know, there were 5 of us that wrote that bill. I'm one of them. The only Democrat that did it, but that's okay. And it was to stop defunding the police in Texas. And I told guys up there in Austin, I said, guys, let me tell you something. When you want something done better, you don't put less into it, you put more into it. And all my career, Paul, there's so many interesting and important things that we deal with, including like the parental alienation. That's very important. But when I get asked on occasion, and through the years, I'm at a Rotary or something and say, Representative, what's the most important issue for you? I never blink. This isn't something new. I always say public safety. Public safety is number one, because let me tell you something. If our communities aren't safe, if people don't feel safe, if they don't have law and order, nothing else matters and nothing else works. That's the way it is. That's what separates our society from a lot of others. That separates us from the animal kingdom, right? And so it's not something new to me, so I worked on that. Some people gave me some hell about it. Didn't really understand why they did, but they did. But I'm proud of it. And I passed that. I'm going to talk about that a lot in my campaign. I do have an opponent, but I'm going to talk about it. You know, I passed that bill, one of the authors, to make sure that we don't defund police in the state of Texas, that we invest more. The way we're going to make communities safer, the way we're going to make law enforcement agencies safer, is that we invest more to make sure that you train better, you understand techniques more, you learn more about the do's and don'ts, you learn about what's going on in your community. And you don't do that by cutting funding.
Absolutely.
And so I told, I was telling all the police officers the other day at the luncheon at the police station, the main headquarters, I said, I'm very proud to have authored that bill, and they said, no, we appreciate you, man. And so I think I'll have a lot of good support there, but I feel like I'm just returning the support that they've given our communities through the years.
We have very good police officers. There's a couple of knuckleheads that are in there, and we have to protect the good ones from those knuckleheads.
Yeah.
And you have knuckleheads everywhere, but when these knuckleheads do something wrong, it's big.
Yeah.
But so we have to have some kind of control over that, because there's a lot of police out that all of a sudden become complacent, and they don't see the problem, where they see it, they just I'm just going to continue walking down the hall.
Right.
And we can't be doing that anymore.
Right.
We have to stop it when if something's bad, it's bad.
Right.
And nip it right there, and be able to protect those that go in there and actually say, you know what, this happened and it shouldn't have happened.
Right.
We have to protect those.
Absolutely.
And I think there has to be some kind of oversight, but not an oversight or a committee, or an agency, but that it's not law enforcement, that the internal affairs, but
Right.
it's not internal. It's somebody, another agency.
Right.
Take the burden out of them. Make sure that other.
But let me tell you this, Paul. Look, law enforcement, they know the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
All right? They got in the business because they wanted to keep things right. They wanted to prevent wrong.
Absolutely.
So, will you always have some bad apples? Of course, but I don't care what it could be. Pick your poison. I don't care what sports, medicine, education, take your pick, man. We're not perfect, so you're always going to have some people that are outliers. And I think that's what it is, it's outliers. But people that sign up to put that badge on, they want to do right, and they know the difference between right and wrong. And we have to continue to give them the tools, right, to build on that sense of right and wrong. They see something wrong within their own agency. You'd see years ago, you'd see these movies about, a true story about some cop that saw something going on wrong in New York City or whatever, and that they blew the whistle, and they came after him. Well, I think you need to increasingly get to the point where you don't have a whole lot of whistles to blow,
Right.
because they are committed to right and wrong, to doing it right and preventing the wrong. That's what drives our law enforcement. Through the years, I've worked with so many good people in law enforcement, so many good people, and so I know that we have to give them the resources. Cutting them back, that's not going to get you there. It's a more complex world out there, including for them.
Oh, I think
so we have to continue to invest in them.
what happens is, like you said, the first thing they do is they take, I hate to use the word defund, they defund the budget,
Yeah.
and they take away training for self-defense in the street. The first thing that goes, boom, let's remove that.
Yeah.
You want a new car? Let's take away this, and this. Well, actually, they need that more than, you know what I'm saying? So they have to be properly trained. They have to be continually properly trained.
Right.
8 hours in police academy does not cut it.
Right.
And they have to have continual learning. They have to continue moving forward. Some do. Some agencies do. Some others require.
Yeah.
But there has to be that motivation. There has to be that they can choose how to use, if they want to go learn something elsewhere to defend themselves.
Right.
They have to go learn it. Because not everything, how can I put it? Criminals are criminals. And they're always looking for the new, innovative way to be better.
Absolutely.
They're doing it.
They don't stop.
They don't stop,
Once we started getting computers online, now you got these guys hacking, and your credit card, all of a sudden you got all these charges you didn't make.
Absolutely. So they're always looking for it. You go to a prison, half of them are working out. Half of them are training.
Yeah.
And when they come out, they're going to be a lot stronger than the guys that were just sitting in the couch watching football games.
Right.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they just became better criminals, majority. There's a lot of guys that come out that change their lives
Right.
and so on and so forth. But there's some that continue down the same old path.
Unfortunately, recidivism is there. They get
Yep.
busted again for another crime later.
So we need better training. We need them to be trained a little bit better in a lot of classes.
Yeah.
In a lot of classes.
Well,
And
I'm very proud of my record on that, and I think that
that's wonderful.
it's one of the things that I'll highlight in this campaign.
Absolutely. I know you have to go, but what do you think is the main problem here in Laredo that we need to change right now, that you're going to try to change for?
Well, I'm going to again. I've worked on, as I said, on law enforcement. That's important to me. I worked really hard during this pandemic to fight and make sure that we were getting the resources we needed down here, because we made a lot of requests. I mean, I really did. I worked so closely with the Commissioner of Health. I worked with the Governor. I worked with the Director of Texas Division of Emergency Management. These are all people I've known for many years. I've worked with them on a lot of issues. We would get stuff here quicker than a lot of other cities, and I'm proud of that. And I think that we saved a lot of lives as a result of that. So I'm proud of it, and we continue to do that. We've still got some COVID going on, so we continue to make sure that we got those resources. But also, I mean, moving forward, it's like we got to continue to rebuild this economy. I mean, I say rebuild. We have a strong economy in Laredo. We took a hit like everybody else. So we have to do the things that we can to continue on the path that we were going, right? I seen the projections 2 years ago, both studies done by the state and the federal government at USDOT and Texas Department of Transportation and others, showing that they expect over the next 5 years trade through Laredo to increase by 30%, Paul. 30% over the next 5 years. That probably got pulled back a little bit because of COVID, but it's still, we have the opportunity there to be in that trajectory to continue to go up. I worked really hard to pass a bill to do away with a toll that we had in Camino Colombia. It's no longer a toll road. That's the only road in the state of Texas that we need tolled. That took a lot of work on my part. It ain't easy to do that. The way government works is once they're tolling a road, they don't want to take that toll off. But I worked hard at it, hard, brother, and I passed it. We don't have a toll on there anymore. That makes a difference. That's going to mean more economic development there, more companies that are willing to come in, more development of warehousing, of shipping, of import, export, and other opportunities that I'm not even thinking of because we have a lot of innovative people out there. So to me, it's like, you know, I want to focus a lot on jobs. When I first started running, all these many years ago, they asked me, you know, what, number one, I said public safety, but they, just like you did, well, what do you want to do? You know, on top of that, I said jobs. Jobs, jobs, jobs.
Absolutely.
That was my, and it hasn't changed, brother, because if we create more jobs, again, people can realize the American dream. They can help get their kids to another level of education and training and so forth. They can get a home and be able to pay for it. I mean, it's what I want. I want more people in our community and in this country, Paul, to have a chance at that American dream.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about.
Yes.
And I don't blame the folks coming over, trying to immigrate to the United States or doing it, you know, they're frustrated with what they have.
Yes. It's all economics. It's all driven economics.
And guess what? We live in the best country in the world. The American dream is still there. There's a lot of people that have made it, come across and made it.
I was in Austin. I came back yesterday, and I drove to a McDonald's, and you know, they're paying up to $18 an hour, dude. 18 hours a damn, man. You know, I mean, you ain't gonna get that in Mexico.
No, you're not. You know, and but you know, we just have to. How can I do it? Protect them.
We have to do it the right way, Paul. I'll tell you a little bit about, because last night I visited with a bunch of guys that were involved in trade and they're supporting me. And so I said, you know, guys, I've thrown this out. I've told a lot of members of Congress, and I think Henry, our congressman, I think Henry Quaid is, you know, he's really on top of this, and I think he sees where I'm coming from when I say, look, the great majority, and I mean the great majority of people that come over here from other countries, we want to talk about Mexico, let's talk about Mexico specifically. They come over for a simple reason. United States citizens are giving them jobs that they cannot get over there. We need them. We need that workforce for a lot of these jobs. You travel out anywhere, right? And you stay at some hotel. Who are you going to see? Cleaning the room. You go to some restaurant. Who are you going to see in the kitchen? Even the waiters, right? A lot, many of them are from Mexico. Some are from some other countries, but most of them are from Mexico. They're being hired because we can't fill those jobs with Americans, right? So what I say is, why can't we enter an agreement with Mexico and other countries, which apparently, those guys were telling me last night, Canada's kind of done this already, where people come in legally. You can't guarantee them citizenship, but I'll tell you what, if you tell somebody, I got 200 jobs at an HEB warehouse in San Antonio, you tell the company, you tell HEB, you got to advertise for it. Okay, 50 of those jobs get filled by U.S. citizens, but 150 of them are still sitting there. Those jobs are still sitting there. So you call up Monterrey. Let's say we set up a workforce development office in Monterrey. Hey, can you see if you got 150 guys that are interested in coming to work in San Antonio at the warehouse, and you have you have people go register there. Hey, I'm 23 years old. This is my background. I'm in good health. I can go work. And you tell them you want to come work in the U.S. in San Antonio at a warehouse for HEB. Instead of swimming across the river with a coyote, you get to walk across the bridge, but you're going to have to register. We're going to have to get all your information. You're going to be working for HEB in San Antonio. We're going to have to make deductions for our system, right? Withholding taxes and so forth. But we can't guarantee you citizenship. What do you think they're going to say? They're not going to say, oh, no, I can't unless you give me a guarantee on citizenship. They're not going to say that. They're going to, wait a minute, no tengo que nadar, no tengo que ir por, ¿puedo ir por el puente legalmente?
They're going to come here, and you know, there's something. There's a nurse's visa for nurses. They can come. They can come.
Yeah, we have it for welders.
You know what I'm saying?
We have it for welders.
So I'm like, how come we haven't gotten nurses from all over the place? There's great nurses in Mexico. There's great nurses all over Latin America. How come we haven't gotten them? You know, how come they haven't gone out and
so
this shortage with COVID? How come we didn't bring nurses?
So it gets back to what I said at the beginning. We need to take a common sense approach on a lot of these things, Paul. We don't have to politicize them and blow them up. Just look at the common sense. And so many, like, you know, people in my party say, oh, you have to give them a path of citizenship. No, you don't, man. You give them the option, they're going to say no, because they still love Mexico. Their hearts are in Mexico, right? And they go, yeah, they'd like to have that option, but if they don't, but they can be here legally? Are you kidding me, man?
You know, how many do we have that are working overseas? Americans that are working overseas in many countries, bunch.
Yeah.
In any country, pick a country.
Yeah.
And if their son or daughter is born over there, they're still U.S. citizens.
Right. That's right. That's right.
They're still U.S. citizens,
Yeah.
and they're working overseas for companies from that country.
Right.
They don't make them U.S. citizens.
Right.
We should copy some of the stuff that they have.
It's.
I don't know
it's
how come we haven't done it.
It's a common sense. Again, it's about looking at a common sense approach instead of just trying to figure out ways to fight. We got to figure out more ways to work together. That's what
Absolutely.
I always do. I'm a proud Democrat, Paul, but I proudly work with everybody. That's the difference. And my attitude is we got to work together for the greater good. If we take a common sense approach, there are a lot of things we can do to make our communities, our state better, and our country better.
Absolutely.
So, no, I'm excited about it, brother.
We'll continue moving forward. Continue doing what you're doing, and thank you for what you've done.
Hey, man, thank you, brother.
You know.
Thank you, brother. I
And,
appreciate you very much.
And you know, we're behind you.
Thank you.
Whatever it's worth.
Hey, it's worth every vote counts. Every vote counts, and so I appreciate it. And anybody who's watching, I really appreciate their consideration and their support. I hope they'll vote for me.
You know, folks, and I say this because I witnessed it, and I've seen it in the hard work that he gave, especially for the bill towards interference with child custody and as well as parental alienation. He stood out there and he fought over and over. So that's helping kids that are both Republican and Democrat, illegals, not illegals, everybody, those that are getting affected that live here in the United States.
That's right.
There's plenty. It crosses social boundaries, but nonetheless, you have our support.
Thank you.
We're behind you. It's a Thanksgiving weekend, the last show for Thanksgiving. You guys be safe, stay safe, and also common sense.
Yes, sir. Common sense. All
Until
right.
next time, bye.